Call to order this regular city council meeting for Monday, September 25th, 2023. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Lanyon,
Present.
Pratt,
Here.
Jenkins,
Here.
Van Allsburg,
Here.
Rhines, Gilroy,
Here.
Hanson.
Here.
All right, and I'm looking for approval of the agenda for this evening unless there are changes that need to be noted.
Move to approve the agenda.
All right, do I have support? Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And now we have an opportunity for audience participation with a maximum of 5 minutes per presentation. If there's anyone out there that would like to come forward this time. All right. Next, we have our council meeting minutes of September 11th, 2023. I'm looking for a motion to approve those meeting minutes unless there's changes that need to be made.
Motion to approve.
Thank you so much. Do I have support?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Brandon, you had an opportunity to review accounts payable for this evening?
I did. So the number is pretty low, but there is one item that I did talk to the city manager about, just to get clarification. So the largest portion of the payroll today, it goes to a payment for a public fund bond that we had for $136,000. So that was a DDA fund. That was the last payment on that DDA bond. So that 2011 bond is now nil. There is some more intricacies that go with that. If you have questions, the city manager can answer them, but that's where that $136,000 was going towards. So with that, if there aren't any questions, I would make a motion to approve, get there, ACH and EFT 528 through 550 and checks 76990 through 77016 for a grand total of $201,000 or $201,621,000.42.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Does anybody have any questions regarding accounts payable this evening? Yes, Tier.
Yes, question.
Yes, question, Steve.
As it relates to the $136,000, so that has been on the books, and so going forward,
We don't make that
we won't
payment
make that
anymore.
payment, so that'll help us out in whatever other areas.
Yes,
Yeah, future, thank you.
Yes.
So, that's specific to the DDA, and that bond was issued in 2011, and it was a 20-year bond, so the way the payment cycle works, it's roughly 21 years, even though it's a 20-year bond. So what'll happen is the overall amount of capture for the DDA will be lessened, because there was some reform in DDAs in 2018. But basically what happens is that service falls off the books. We won't be able to capture in the DDA that equivalent amount of funds moving forward, but that's okay. I mean, the DDA in that regard served its purpose and did those public improvements. So,
thank you. Great explanation.
but
Any
the
other
overall, it is good from the overall
Yes.
debt rating of the city that we have a bond paid off.
questions? Yes, it's always good when we have those paid
Yeah.
out. Do I have support for this motion?
Support.
Thank you so much. Holly, will you call the roll for accounts payable, please?
Van Allsburg,
Yes.
Rhines,
Yes.
Gilroy,
Yes.
Lanyon,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Pratt,
Yes.
Jenkins.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, moving along to our action items. Our first is the Metro Ag permit for SurfNet, and I'm going to turn this right over to John Hanneman, our city manager. We have quite a large packet inside our packet, so.
Yeah, thank you. So Surf Air Wireless LLC, they do business as SurfNet, has submitted a Metro Ag permit to provide infrastructure to provide fiber optic high-speed internet here in town. They've submitted the right-of-way permit. Both myself and Mr. Gormley have reviewed it. It's an acceptable form. They've checked all the boxes that are necessary. We don't have a lot of flexibility in these things. It's either yes or no. They meet the conditions for yes, so we'd recommend motion to approve. There is a representative here if you have any questions from them, but it's great that we'll have additional service providers here in town.
Great. Yes, Terry, go right ahead.
I recognize the map, that's Williamston.
Yeah,
I can't tell where your lines are gonna go now.
I was just going to ask the exact same thing.
Unclear.
So everything that we're planning to do in the city is gonna be underground, nothing overhead. Given the weather in Michigan, we have chosen to do most of our infrastructure underground. I mean, you guys just came through a tornado,
Right.
you know, and cars skidding off the road in the winter. I mean, you put the infrastructure in the air, you're more vulnerable to damage. So our intent is to use the road right-of-ways and be everything underground.
Sure. So what will be your primary start? Will you go along Grand River and then trunk off, or how is that gonna work when you say underground and all of that?
Yeah, so we'll have primary lines that what we call kind of our backbone, that will come off of our main head end cabinet, which tentatively we plan kind of to be down by the water tower. It's still going to be within the right of way, but it's going to be off the main road and less prone. You know, we'll have a few pieces of equipment periodically that'll be above ground, but as a whole it'll be underground. But we'll probably start there
Okay,
and kind of build out from that.
okay, all right, excellent, yes, go ahead.
So if you guys are going underground, I'm just curious how that might impede people's driveways. I mean, do you go under the driveways? Do you have to dig up their driveways?
We won't dig anybody's driveway up. We're gonna do everything using a directional boring method. The only case where we might run into a situation where we may have to pull a section of sidewalk, or we may have to either core or remove a small portion of a driveway would be is if there's a gas service or a water service or something under there that we would need to physically get eyes on during the construction process. But as part of restoration, we would restore all of that completely back.
Go ahead.
So if we were to approve this, what do you imagine your timeline being for getting your main trunk and then like service to like actual residents?
It's going to be a pretty fast-paced installation. I would say that by February, March of next year, we would plan to have everything done within the proposed area.
Okay, and then, just for our viewing community, everything, you're doing the underground boring, so then I'm assuming that you're going to bore underground up to the actual resident structure?
So what we do is we place a in-ground vault or handhold, usually between every other home.
Okay,
And that's where our infrastructure will reside. As residents sign up for service, that's our access point. We will run a drop from the home into that
Okay.
access point and connect them and bury that line at that point.
Okay. Yeah, all good questions. Any other questions? Yes,
So the
Terry?
line from the home, does it go underground from the home, or does
It
it go
does.
through the air
It does.
part of it and then? no,
Yep, everything's underground.
Exits through the basement kind of, okay.
So then SurfNet would be required for the missed dig flags and all of that, correct?
Absolutely.
Once those residents want to go online with you, then you'll put in that order.
811 request, yes.
All right, excellent, yes.
What kind of service speeds do you offer?
So our plan is to offer up to 2 gig service
Okay.
within the city, and that's symmetrical. So if you get 2 gig download, you're also gonna get 2 gig upload, which is completely different from any cable provider now.
Okay,
Awesome.
all right. Steve, did you have a question?
Probably more so for John.
John?
As it relates to, this is additional services,
Mm-hmm.
and I see that Xfinity came in recently, at least in our subdivision.
Mhm.
So what will this put us at as far as options
I think we're
for?
gonna have up to 4 now?
So,
Yes.
yeah, there's currently, there's WOW, there's Xfinity, there's 123 Net, which who, they may have been a contractor for one of those, and then SurfNet, so at least 3.
Okay, all right, excellent. Well, this is something that our community's wanted for a very long time, more options, so.
I will say, you know, on their behalf, I mean, SurfNet did come and have just kind of an introductory meeting, and they talked through with staff, like, their plan and their rollout, and they're also, as part of their deployment, they'll have yard signs, so it's very clear that they're the ones that are doing the work.
Sure.
And that if there is an issue, and they were very open about that. They also talked about, you know, in the event if they have to do a sidewalk piece removal, it's a very small piece.
Okay.
So from a staff perspective, you know, we're you know, without picking, you know, this company over that company, we're very pleased with the answers that they gave as far as their deployment, the rollout, and again, the competition is a good thing.
Sure, absolutely. All right, any other questions?
Will your rates be competitive?
Very competitive.
All right.
$35 a month for 100 meg by 100 meg to $95 for the 2 gig to 2 gig and varying plans in between.
Okay.
Excellent, great.
Scheduled to increase every month, right?
No, it is a price lock guarantee. When you sign up for service, you are locked into that price for life. So
Oh.
we will never increase.
For life,
For
life
life.
as in life, or life as in 7 years plus?
Life as in life, as long as you don't move, you don't make a change to your service or
Sure.
request a change in service plan, anything like that.
Excellent.
A
So,
lot of the gripes associated with at least one other company is that there is a monthly increase, or every other month or
Yeah.
whatever. Okay,
yeah.
That goes up pretty regularly.
okay, well, you're selling it pretty good.
All right.
And it's no contract.
Oh.
You come and go as you want, yes.
Did you bring a sign-up sheet with you?
All right. Wow, I think you've checked all the boxes for our answers, so I appreciate you being here tonight, and taking the
Absolutely.
time to answer the
Yep.
questions, and,
Oh, wait, one more.
yes, go ahead.
From the house to your box, is that fiber or is that coax?
It's fiber.
Fiber?
Oh, wow.
Fiber all the way
So
to
the
the
modem
home.
in my house is a fiber modem?
It is a
Oh,
fiber
you have to, If
modem.
you want the duplex, you want it to be the same? Wow,
Yep.
okay.
That's cool.
Wow.
Excellent, great question.
Actually,
Yes, yes,
Did
go
you
ahead.
check out whether his reputation is good in other places?
They submitted some references, I mean, really, for the sake of approving the permit, we're really limited on that. I mean,
Okay.
unless there was something that was, glaring, or there was, some, I guess, Mr. Gormley handled
Yep.
the specific legal,
Pro.
but like, if there was some, sorry,
Mr. Pro.
wrong. Earlier, sorry. No offense. But unless there was something known, like, some failing of the company, I
Sure.
don't think that we would be able to, consider that.
Okay.
All right, yes, Dan.
Like to make a motion to approve Surf Air Wireless LLC Metro Act permit based on the material submitted.
Thank you so
Second.
much, thank you both. If there's no further discussion, again, thank you so much for being here to answer these questions. Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Rhines,
Yes.
Gilroy,
Yes.
Lanian,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Pratt,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Van Allsburg,
Yes.
Thank you. And one parting comment, I love the fact you're gonna do yard signs with your phone number on it if people have questions, because that seems to be a hot topic, what's going on,
Mhm.
who's doing the work, so I do appreciate that. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
We look forward to your presence in Williamston.
Thank you.
All right, excellent. Next on our action items is our social district resolution. I'm gonna turn this right over to our city manager, John Hanifin.
Thank you, Mayor Gilroy, members of council. So we've been discussing this at the DDA level for quite some time. This is certainly not a thing that's new to Michigan. These have been allowed since really 2020 with the original Public Act 124. But what this would do is would establish a social district, so the consumption of alcohol would be allowed. You could purchase a drink at a licensed establishment as long as they have the special license. That would be subject to getting our resolution passed. And then you could move about the area. We did include a map, which is the designated common area. And essentially the common area would be roughly from Nico's to the south to a portion of McCormick Park to the north. And the idea there that the areas where the concerts are held on the lawn, you'd be able to access there and also be able to use the facilities. You would not be able to access the playground with alcohol. We want to keep that separated. So that'd be the north-south boundary. And then east-west, roughly to the east, it would be just to the, a little bit east of Zidda's, and then heading west just to the other side of the alley by D&W.
Mhm.
So that's the district in a nutshell. Hours of operation are listed in the operation and maintenance plan, which is a requirement of the resolution. It's part of the submission that we have to include to the state. So happy to answer any questions you may have. The 4 establishments in the area have expressed interest, 2 in person and 2 by via email.
Go ahead.
So I have questions, I'll make some comments,
Sure.
as someone in support of the concept. To try and alleviate any concerns that might arise. So I think we've all seen that there has been some kind of request from our constituents, to do this, for a while. There's a lot of people that like to go to the concerts in the park and have been asking for this ability. 2 things to keep in mind though, so there isn't this concern that there's just gonna be belligerent drunks walking all over the place. Williamston, the city, does have an open intox ordinance so that you cannot be, out in other areas drunk. and there also is public intoxication, so there is still avenues for enforcement should someone get rowdy and belligerent, right? So we don't have this concern about, just because we're doing this, there's gonna be some, drunks everywhere now. On top of that, this, as John said, this has been happening since 2020, and the cities that do, East Lansing, which is already a rowdy town to begin with, right? They have one, and it is phenomenal. Everyone loves it there, they don't have any issues with it, so, I think where it has occurred, it's been a boon to their businesses.
Yep. Stadium District downtown Lansing has, quite a healthy social district. There's a lot of municipalities, in this area that have it. Our future chief of police, future Chief Weiss, has been doing some research on it as well. And so, and I even had spoken with, Chief Young to see what his thoughts were on it. And what this does is, and this, we did bring it in front of DDA because, that is our downtown district. We do have 4 primary, restaurants that would be able to participate in it. We have Zinda's, we have Nico's, we have the Williamston Pub, and we have Tavern 109, which John has been able to speak with them, get them the information. I've had a couple conversations with Nico's and Zinda's and with the pub. They're very excited about it. Emily Sutton Smith, that is a part of our Williamston Theater, is excited that her patrons would have the ability to bring cocktails in while they watch a performance. I know Earl Wolf, who's here, had mentioned he's an advocate for it. Several members of DDA thought it would be great for our events that we're going to have, in our downtown area or for other events. I'm going to open this up to any questions before I ask for the motion. I know, Dan, you might have a question or two, and Steve, go ahead, and Tom. So I'll start with Steve.
And we reached out to the church religious community, advising them that this was a possibility.
We did not do that.
Are you meaning specifically St. Mary's that's behind, or any church community?
Any church community in the Williamston area, I could see where that might be an issue, and I don't want us to get into a situation where we're gonna see on Facebook and other outlets that this is the first that we've heard anything about this, how come we weren't contacted, how come we weren't involved in the discussion on it?
Yes.
I can guarantee there's almost, it doesn't matter what we're gonna do, there's somebody right now banging away on the keyboard.
Because, yes,
Questioning
our
what we did
agenda
or didn't
was,
do, and
public,
They
yeah.
they had never heard about any of this before,
Yep.
so. But to answer your question, no, and frankly, I appreciate your concern, that's not something that I think that would be necessary.
Okay. Tom?
I guess on the surface, just reading it, it feels like it has more cons or possibilities of negative aspects than it, I think it, what's the pro here, other than supporting the 4 businesses that can now sell off of their premises?
Go ahead.
I think the pro is, it does provide an enhancement to events that we do have, and we don't have a lot of downtown events, and hopefully over time that will change, because frankly, that's one of the things that we're lacking here, is someone who's been a DDA director for going on 25 years, and there have not, there's always the possibility when you have alcohol involved in an event, whether it's Jubilee or, just people frequently liquor.
They're gonna overdo it.
There's always that possibility.
Right.
But as Mr. Lanyon pointed out, we do have rules for that. It's still not legal to drink and drive in the social district. And coming from a community that has had a social district for going on 3.5 years now, there weren't any issues.
I guess I had a few questions, I don't know if I wanna take some others and
Yeah,
come back,
yeah.
or maybe let me just ask a second one right now.
Go ahead.
Good choice.
Ask.
I guess a follow-up would there be limitations on how often and where and when and what events these businesses can do this? Because, if they wanted to, could the bucket hold a outdoor fest every day in their back parking lot or at the McCormick Park? Or can we be subjective and tell them, no, you've already done it too many times, we don't want you to do it now?
No.
So
So
that
that-
kind of gets into the road sign
So
argument.
the hours of operation would be weekly, Sunday through Monday, 12 to 9, and Friday, Saturday, 12 to 11. I don't know if that quite answers it, but
I
it's
saw the
not just,
hours.
it's not just event-based. This
Right,
would
yeah.
be, their regular hours of operation. I don't know if you wanna add on to that?
Well, I think that if, yeah, we can certainly put limitations and anybody who would request to use public property, we can do that. I mean, absolutely.
My concern is that anytime we were to take our kids to the park, that there'd be people there drinking.
Okay,
I guess to be just black and white about it.
sure, sure. Dan?
I'm, I feel slightly hypocritical here with what I'm about to say, because I'm co-chair of the largest festival in town. We have a large, beer tent that brings in a lot of money, but it's also 1 week a year.
Sure.
That, it is one time a year, and I know Old Nation has done festivals in downtown, we've had no problems with that. And I think those festivals are good and they bring a lot of things, but this feels like we're kind of endorsing alcohol downtown all the time. And I'm not anti-bars or anything, obviously we've passed a lot of it, but I got a little, when I was reading through it and I was trying to figure out whether or not this was making it easier for more festivals and whatnot, and then when I realized that it's actually just, you can go in Tavern 109, buy a cocktail, wander around downtown wherever you want. I'm kind of on the fence here.
Okay. Brandon?
So, I will, without outing our citizens, the thought that people aren't currently drinking at the park is naive. Because if you saw the Facebook post, someone commented asking, hey, can I bring liquor or wine to the concerts at the park? And 90% of the comments were, you don't do that already? Like, there was just people saying, like, bring it in your coffee cup, bring it in there. So, like, people are actively already doing it, and this, in my view, isn't actually going to change much, because if people are already constantly doing it by bringing it in coffee mugs, stuff like that, we're not changing anything. If anything, we're helping to facilitate who's going to be doing that. It would be money going into the businesses instead of people, wandering from wherever their house is, or God forbid, driving to the parks and bringing it there. So, I mean, I think it's already happening, right? Like, we're not gonna change that.
To your point, I'm not naive to that, it's just, this is now a public endorsement, and I'm not sure, I'm in favor of the public endorsement
I'm not sure
of,
endorsements.
well, we're establishing a district where during these hours, 7 days a week, you're allowed to publicly drink alcohol.
But I will clarify that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but like, this isn't an endorsement of like, you bring your own alcohol. This is an endorsement of you're purchasing alcohol at these businesses and
That's
taking it out. So like, we're not endorsing people just bringing their beers and getting drunk, so.
Since we're putting it all out there, I don't see our officers walking up to someone in the park who has a can of Bud Light and saying, you need to pour that out, while the person sitting next to them has their cup from Tavern 109 and they're allowed. Just talking realities
That's
here.
fair.
I don't see that happening.
So I'm gonna call on Tom, and then we do have our future chief of police here. I know that he came prepared with some information, so I'm gonna let him be able to speak as well, because he is gonna be the one that could potentially, have to deal with this. So Tom?
My
go ahead.
next question was to see if we.
Yeah, actually, so, future chief Weiss, why don't you come
Yes,
forward?
I shall, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police listserv, a chief from another agency asked this very question, that has there been any issues with the creation of a social district? Our government agencies, our city's thinking about starting one. Has there been any issues? And out of all the chiefs in Michigan, there was one reply, and that was only because there was one complaint in the whole state, and that was because someone walked into a different establishment with the glass that didn't have the correct logo. And that person got upset that they couldn't come in with that glass. So I don't foresee any issues enforcement-wise with the creation of the social district. I think it'd be positive for the city. Again, if we were to get any complaints, it'd be complaint-driven. We're not going to be the cut police. So I would have no issues with it at all.
And I think we have to remember too that we do have to put some liability back on the restaurants that want to participate. It's their job to make sure they're not over-serving. It's their job to make sure that they're, following the licensing and regulation rules that are set before them. So, I mean, I see this as an enhancement to our downtown for our businesses that want to participate in events in a different way. I don't see it as a negative. I've been to events in social districts and everybody just is, you know, seems to be okay, happy with it. But, you know, it's all personal opinion and, Terry, go ahead.
Is it possible that, let's say things really go sideways, and 2 years from now we say, wow, we just hate this thing?
Then
I would about- no,
we
I won't.
we
No,
would
turn it
pass,
off.
we would
I will-
rescind
I
our
will-
resolution.
No, you don't need to rescind it. Right
Right.
now, it
It-
says it has an expiration of January 2nd, 2025.
25.
25, so 2 years.
Yep, so
Less
I'm
than
gonna,
2
A year
years.
and a half, really?
right,
Yes,
so I'm
so-
gonna go back to John and let him answer as well.
We can also rescind it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But-
Anytime.
But right now, we have.
We can rescind the resolution.
At any time.
Yeah, but right now, if it was going poorly and you didn't even want to rescind it, you could just not renew it.
Right,
Okay, got it.
But businesses such as like Old Nation would not be able to participate in this, correct?
correct. Now, I know that we talked about this at the DDA level and everything. I mean, it's really kind of difficult to expand it out that far, right? We would want to keep it in, I mean, the closest restaurants that could participate would be possibly River House, but they're not in our DDA district. So we are really confining this to the DDA district here in downtown.
Now, I know one thing does this make it easier for special use permits, such as like Old Nation had their one-off beer festival 5 or 6 years ago, roughly? Does this make it, because I know they had to pull a special use permit at that time, do the fencing, everything else. Does this affect anything like that?
No, those would, if there was an event to be held at McCormick or Dahlstrom or any of the parks or any of the public facilities, it'd still have to go through the exact same process.
All right, just making sure that.
Yeah, because it's the point of sale, that's the difference. I mean, if you're gonna do a point of sale, even like a fundraiser, you would still have to go through all the normal procedures, and council would have to allow the consumption, or the sale and then consumption, either through a special use permit or through permit.
Just making sure, because as I was reading through this, and you clarified one earlier, because it talks about the social district and then common spaces within the social district. And for our case that we're discussing, that entire area we have on the map would be one common space.
That's correct.
There's not.
Well, but I guess to clarify that though, if they were holding this beer festival though at like McCormick Park, if they're in the social district, then they could then not have to stay at the beer tent, they could walk into downtown, like go to other businesses.
See, but the thing with all that is, sorry, I'm jumping here,
No.
just because I deal with this all the time. With this special use permit, you have to, like, Old Nation, when they did that, they had
No,
to
okay.
fence in and enclose
That's what,
their
that was a question, it
entire
wasn't a statement, I was
Yeah.
asking if that would be the case.
They still have to do that as a requirement of their special use permit. That's why Jubilee has to put up all that
Like,
extra
yeah, fencing,
fencing,
yeah.
is because it's a requirement to even receive
Okay.
a special use permit.
Yeah.
Terry, then Tom. Terry?
As a city, I think one of our signatures is that we don't have any chain restaurants, so it's McDonald's, but we don't have any, higher end restaurants. We have these unique sort of places. And I think what we would be doing is we would be, as a city and as a council, as a government organization, we would be saying, we like this, we want to do something to boost you and help you to do better and make more money and
Sure.
and so forth. And that seems a very positive thing.
Sure. Tom?
I hate to be the negative Nancy here, but
That's okay.
my biggest concern, as we're sitting here talking about this and the hours in the social district, I'm sitting here thinking about just this week with our homecoming parade. And anytime you introduce alcohol to a group of people, we all know for a fact there's gonna be people that are gonna overdo it and create a nuisance of themselves and probably go to jail. And I'm concerned, we have like a homecoming parade where we got all our families and our whole community out having a great time, and then we got, some idiots out drinking in pub rooms, drinking,
Sure.
on the sidewalks, there's kids running out in the street
Sure.
grabbing candy, and it just,
So.
I don't know, it just doesn't
I'm-
feel like
I'm
a
gonna-
good fit.
I'm gonna be the opposite of that. How long did the parade last? I'm questioning because I wasn't downtown. How long did the parade last?
Half hour.
Half hour. and then everybody went to the game. So within that half hour, do you feel like somebody would become overly intoxicated out during that parade that it would have caused an issue?
I feel like the person who may be over intoxicated would have started before the parade and
Okay.
then continued through the
Okay,
parade.
all right.
would be my-
And that's valid. Dan?
Here's Jubilee 10, 15 years ago had a large incident
Yep.
in the 10,
Yep.
and ever since then, we've spent several $1,000s a year to have additional security through our reserves
Mhm.
there. Now, that's a different deal, people can be down there for hours at a time, all that kind of stuff, but that was an issue because crap happens.
What
When
year
you
was
have-
that, just curious?
I can't remember. the
It was
year,
early
or
2000s.
It was early
07,
07,
2000s.
08, something like that.
And since
okay.
since we upped that security thing, things have been much better because there's a presence, there's things like that. Yes, I'm not really comfortable with this, but if, we all know we have a lot of openings on the police department right now.
Mhm.
Like, I wanna say, just having an officer available to walk through the park if we're having a larger event in the park and we're having the social district. But right now, we don't really have the officers available to do that. Those are concerns I have because like Tommy said, and it's not just the homecoming parade, you got the light parade, which goes on longer, you've got all these different things, and we can add in all those other events around it, which has all this go on longer. To me, I like the idea of a contained space for these special events where the alcohol's available, it's allowed, you know where it's gonna be, you know where the possible rowdy people are gonna be at, where if there's an issue, that's where you go, or that's where the security already is. And if you don't want to be a part of that, then you just don't go there and you're not there. That's kind of.
Terry, one last question.
Excuse me, from what John was saying, that we kind of, as a city, it would be good for us to have more of those kind of events. Not homecoming events, but sort of events that would attract people from outside the community to come on down and have an enjoyable evening.
Correct.
So we'd like to see more of that.
John?
I think that's a
So,
good
so
idea.
any policy change of any kind, alcohol or not, is, it's a cost benefit. And everything is related to cost benefit. And governments of all sizes are always very hesitant to be on the cutting edge, or sometimes even on the bleeding edge.
Mhm.
And if we were the first ones to do this, I wouldn't have presented this. But there's been, I've had direct experience with other communities. Not every community is the same.
Right.
There's no more or less drunks in Brighton or Chelsea or than there are in Williamston. But again, I think the debate has been great. I think that at this point, I don't think, debate on any policy change is healthy, and that's a good thing. So I think that you're probably at a point where you should vote, and then it's either yes or no, and then we move on.
I'll ask for the motion.
I'll make a motion to approve a resolution designating a social district containing common areas for alcohol consumption and the establishment of management and maintenance plans.
Do I have support?
Support.
All right, thank you so much. If there's no further discussion, Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Gilroy,
Yes.
Lanyon,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Pratt,
No.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Van Osberg,
Yes.
Rhines.
No.
It was very healthy debate, and I really appreciate it. And I know that this is something new for our community, but I do have the confidence in our staff, whether it be city staff or our police department. And also the four participating, once they get their paperwork in, there could be a restaurant that chooses not to participate, but it is open to those four, and so we will see where this goes. It'll be a learning experience for all of us, but I do have confidence that we're gonna be okay with this. Our last action item is to set a joint meeting date for our annual Williamstown Township meeting. We do this, we meet, we discuss items, topics of interest, and so I'll turn that over to John.
Thank you. I do have a couple of the blanks to fill in. It is Williamstown Township's, it's their turn to host, so the meeting would be at their facility. and the proposed time is 7 PM. And I did include last year's agenda, and so if council members have any agenda topics you'd like to see beyond what's already on there, please get those to me, and then I'll share those with Ms. Bloomquist over at the township, because she'll be setting the agenda. And it's good, it's always good to meet with your neighbors and have a good and fruitful discussion, even if it's just to catch up on some things.
Yep, great. And yeah, I mean, it's really just a evening of sharing information and chatting with our neighbors, you know, in the township, and it's good. So I'm looking for that motion to move that forward.
I would move that we set a joint meeting with Williamston Township for Wednesday, October the 18th, 2023, with the city manager detailing the time and specific location.
Thank you so much. Do I have support?
Second.
Thank you both. If there's no questions or discussion, Holly, will you call the roll?
Lanyon,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Pratt,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes?
Van Osberg,
Yes.
Rhines,
Yes.
Gilroy.
Yes. All right, moving along on our agenda, discussion items. Do we have any updates for our road diet?
Road diet, the tri-county meeting is next week. We reported at that at the last council meeting, so we're still hopeful and super optimistic that a majority of that project will be funded. But that decision, the next decision point will be next week at the tri-county meeting.
And I know we don't have our city engineer here, but can you give us a construction project for us?
Sure, yeah, happy to.
Yep.
Things are going as planned. We're moving on to the, you know, kind of sort of the major underground utilities in the church intersection, Church Street intersection. So that's been going well. So yeah, we're on schedule and things are progressing. We did have some work unrelated to that project today. There was a small issue with the sewer across the street, right across from our building. So we had some work done there today. And that happened at the same time that we were flushing hydrants in the downtown. I thought for sure we were gonna get calls that, you know, we had broken something and we were flooding, but fortunately, we did a good job of communicating the hydrant flushing, I think, and so did not receive any calls to that effect.
Great, excellent. Thank you for those updates.
Yeah, and the repair across the street, it was a planned repair. There were some issues with the sewer in discussing it with Zinda, as they were having some issues with some of their drainage, so we were able to schedule that and get it done this week.
Excellent. All right, moving along on our agenda, we did not receive any correspondence, and I will just move right ahead to department head reports, and John, you're here.
Yeah, I'm here, so thank you. So had a really busy week last week, which was great, or 2 weeks ago. Do have the joint work session with the planning commission on Wednesday at 6 o'clock. I think that'll be a great discussion. It's really all that I have. There will not be a planning commission meeting next week, in case you're wondering. The only issue, ongoing issue is the site plan for Dollar Tree, and they still have not, they have a number of engineering items to take care of before that would be able to be reviewed, so.
All right.
So that's all I have.
Well, great, thanks so much. Moving along, subcommittee reports. Anybody want to share from any meetings they've had? Yes, Tom?
We had a nice meeting, nothing real heavy or anything going on there. They re-signed with the CPA firm that they've used in many years prior for their annual audit, so that was done. And they were able to purchase roughly $50,000 worth of fire equipment, be turnout gear and some other things, with a state grant.
Excellent, fantastic. Terry, you had your hand up?
Our future police chief is here. I was wondering if is there a weekly report from you? When do you go to work?
He's not on duty yet.
Not quite yet, Monday.
Monday, okay, that's.
But,
Today is Monday, isn't it?
No, well,
Next
it's not the
Monday.
right Monday.
But in the interim, we actually have someone coming in Wednesday for an interview
Excellent.
to start working. I reached out to my fellow retirees and spread my fingers wide, so we're getting
Excellent.
we've interviewed one other person and interviewing another one Wednesday, so
Cool.
I'm pretty confident we'll be bringing some people in.
Excellent,
Good deal.
great.
So you're not even on the job, but you're here with a report.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love
All
it.
right, good.
All right, excellent. Thank you. Anyone else?
We had
Dan?
a ZBA meeting, it was pretty basic, it's over off of Corwin Road, I believe it was where Model Metal Processing was, right behind Deer Creek. It's a gentleman wanting to build a very nice storage units, but he needed a setback variance, and we approved that.
Excellent.
Cool. Is that the same owner of the property, or did they sell?
No, he sold.
Okay, all right.
Cool.
Anyone else? I know I have Earl Wolf here real quick, and I'm gonna ask you just to really quick tell us about what's coming up on Saturday.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Saturday is our first River Day. It's a celebration of the Red Cedar River. It was initiated by the Rotary Satellite Group here in town. It's a chance for people to kayak the river that either don't own a kayak, or I have one, but I never want to figure out how to shuttle my way back, or I don't know what I'm doing, and then there are people that go up to the quiet water, or I want to go down the rapids, I want someone to show me how to do it. This is all about experiencing our best resource that is so undervalued. And so it's hats off to those guys that really initiated this event.
What
So,
time does it start on Saturday?
It's 1 to 4.
1 to 4?
There's a sign up, and you sign up at McCormick Park, and that's because they've got to arrange the shuttles and all that kind of thing. And just by signing up, you're in the raffle for a whole new kayak system for free.
And you're gonna have Boy Scouts there doing?
Boy Scouts are doing shuttles, so if you want to paddle 2 hours to Harris Nature Center, there's a shuttle for you.
Excellent.
So if you always wanted to go farther but never figured out how to get back, that works out. Or there's instruction up at the Quiet Water at McCormick Park to go north, or go east, and do the Quiet Water experience. There's free kayaks for instruction, or you can rent them if you want to go off for a few hours. So,
That's cool.
fun way to enjoy our city. We hope this becomes
An annual event.
yes, an initiative for people to start enjoying our river. It's
Absolutely.
right here. So
Absolutely. Thanks for being here tonight, Earl.
Just
Appreciate
2
it.
hours transit time
To hear
to the Heritage Center?
it'll probably take you about 6 hours to get down. So
A brisk paddle would be 2 hours.
remember that
I would
movie,
be
The
right
River of
along
No
with you with 6
Return? That
hours.
was you, Terry. We'll see you next week.
Well, again, thank you for being here tonight and giving us that information, Earl. All right, I'm gonna move around the table for council member comments. I'll start with Dan.
No comments.
All right, Scott?
No comment tonight.
Oh, that's right, because I skipped right over and gave it right to Earl. Was there any other audience participation? I'm so sorry about that. Anyone else? Yes.
My name is Emily Lance. I'm a journalism student at MSU,
Mhm.
and for the duration of the semester, I'll be covering Williamston. This weekend, I'm going to be at Nathan Allenboss's fundraiser
Fantastic.
over the Sometimes Theater. So yeah.
Great, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Scott, any comments?
I guess pertaining to the social districting, I see it as just part of the development of the town's personality. Hopefully it'll step up and be responsible.
That's right, thank you.
Mhm.
Brandon?
I know I sound like a broken record here all the time, but the construction crew is amazing. They're getting close to my house, so I'm getting a little worried about that. But, they've been doing a great job. If anyone, saw, my son and I go by it all the time, every day. And they were phenomenal. They asked me if you wanted to drive around one of their little construction crews, which I'm not sure they were supposed to do, but they did. So it was awesome. So he's amped about it. Talking about construction trucks, so, I can't say enough about these guys. They're doing a phenomenal job, and they're very professional.
I feel like Harvey's got a future with them.
Yeah.
Steve?
Nothing.
All right, Terry?
I'm not that old. Okay, just in case you're wondering.
Okay, all right.
You asking for a vote on that?
Yeah, do you want me to have Holly call for a vote on that?
Well,
No?
I'd rather pass.
All right. Okay, all right. Tom?
Nothing from me.
All right. I just want to say thank you to this council for the healthy debate that we have. I think it's good when we're not unanimous. If we were unanimous on all of our votes, then that would mean that we're just up here throwing out yes votes. So I appreciate the dialogue, the debate, the questions asked, because we are here to make sure that our community moves forward in a forward motion, with good progress, doing what we hope is in the best interest of our community, of our businesses. And so I appreciate that. It is getting darker earlier. Please make sure that you are, aware of kids on bikes and pedestrians out walking. We've got some great, fantastic things that are in the works for fall. watch for our downtown to transform in about another week. We've got some really neat decorations that are gonna be going up. There is a decorate a light pole contest in getting ready for our downtown trick or treating, which is going to happen in October. I want to say congratulations to our Williamston Hornets on the win for homecoming this past Friday evening. I actually had to bypass downtown several times to get where I needed to go because downtown was hustling and bustling. So it was good to see such a great turnout for our team. And you know, we're just moving into fall. Leaf pickup will start soon. I believe we still have the ability to put branches out. We'll get a confirmation from that when our city engineer is back. We're excited for Chief Weiss to start next week. Can't wait to have you at the table to give us your report. And look forward to Saturday's kayaking event on our river that you know, we love, and we are a river community. So I'm glad to see that we're actually doing an event on our Red Cedar River. So I hope it's well received and that it's a good turnout. And with that, I will go ahead and call the meeting.
No, I will make a motion.
Nope, yep,
I'm making
yes,
a
you
motion to
will.
go into closed session for the purposes of ASME collective bargaining allowed under MCL 15.268C.
Do I have support?
Second.
Thank you so much. And now we are going
The
to,
roll call.
oh, Holly?
Aye.
Yeah.
Lanyon,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Pratt,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes?
Van Osper,
Yes.
Rhines,
Yes.
Gilroy.
Yes. Man, I gloss over those
I
closed
know.
sessions
I
all the
was- I
time.
was-
And I'm going to make the motion to adjourn for the evening at 8:02. Or no, 7:58.
So 58.
58. There we go.